Okay, let's move on and go to the Indiana Pacers. Mark Schindler's Indiana Pacers. Uh, Schindler, I'm just going to give you the floor to start on the Pacers. I want you to be able to opine on this 5-5, beautiful, weirdo, fun Indiana Pacers team that we think has no chance to defend, but is actually just like incredibly fun to watch.
Yeah, well, I just want to start right out and say fake. No, this team is not. This is not a 500 basketball team. Just to put that out there blanketly. But like you mentioned, I've really enjoyed this. I think in some ways it's been a double-edged sword because last year, um, what I was kind of hoping from the Pacers early on when they didn't make any of the trades, they kept Karis LeVert, they kept Miles, they had Domas there at the start. There was a lot of in my opinion, at least, I felt like Rick was kind of coaching in a way that wasn't always super conducive to what the roster talent was. It didn't feel like that was necessarily the roster that he was excited about. I feel like this is a different story. Like this roster, the way that he's coached it, the way that everything is set up, like Bennedict Mathurin does not look like this on another team. Like he would obviously look very good still. I think he would have a lot of fantastic flashes, but like the way that Rick and the offensive staff have built Bennedict into this offensive system, like it's almost like he's playing at Arizona again with the way that he gets to play in some of the things that he's run.
It's just freedom. Like it's freedom to cut. It's freedom, within his skill set. They're doing a really good job of giving him a lot of opportunity, but the opportunity comes within things he's good at. Like they don't ask him to do anything other than dribble in a straight line. They ask him to run the floor as hard as he can. They ask him to cut back door, and they ask him to shoot threes, obviously, which he can do all of those things. So yeah, I agree with you. Like I think that the way that they've coached Ben so far has been very good.
Yeah, and I've loved it. And I think just Ben's confidence is something that I think I totally undersold in the draft. Like, especially when you're looking at some of the top guys, he's so good at asserting himself without necessarily even being part of a play. Obviously in different ways, but I feel like he and Keegan Murray are kind of similar in that even if they don't have the ball in their hands, they're really good at just finding their way, have really just incredible nose for the ball. Did you expect him to average 6 free throws per game his rookie year? Because that's what he's doing right now.
No, I didn't think, but the way that he's doing it makes sense.
The contact finishing and everything has been really impressive from him.
I will say this. I think he's always gotten super, super underrated in terms of his intersection of strength and explosiveness.
Yeah.
Like he is like probably 220 pounds. He doesn't look it like he has like a pretty like thin frame for the most part, but like he has big shoulders. He's a fairly like big chest and like a fairly big torso that allows him to kind of play through contact and go through guys. The question has always been the ball handling, right? Like he's not the most technically savvy guy who's going to like take guys off the bounce and everything. But as a pure athlete, this is why I had him 5th in the class. Like I was an enormous fan of his athleticism. And I figured, maybe at some point the handle will come. But when you combine crazy athleticism with high level shooting, I kind of figured it would work in some respect, especially early. It's just how much will it work? Can he become like a star? We'll see.
Yeah. And I'm at the point right now of saying, I think we're on that train.
I think that's on the table.
Yeah. And one very random shot, but just because I'm a lover of historical basketball, I've always thought this with Ben. His frame reminds me a ton of Jim Jackson. Like, just like that really sturdy 6'5", 6'6", like, again, random shot. He's from Toledo, so of course I have to know who he is. But Ohio State legend, Jim Jackson, one of the most random careers.
Big Ten Network legend, Jim Jackson,
really good announcer now. Yeah,
he's actually really good. Yeah, Jim Jackson's
so
great,
good, man. He needs more. Just get him on everything.
Yeah.
In terms of the rest of the roster, so Buddy Hield has been awesome. Currently shooting 42% from deep on 10 attempts per game.
Would have thought it was higher.
Exactly. He'd think it's higher too. But yeah, I mean, again, this is super conducive to what he does. Like they're running at times. It's going to be less now with Chris Duarte out for the next month, potentially 6 weeks. But they're running like 4 guard lineups at times. and the overall just movement, motion, and they're running a lot of flow game. Like, it's not a ton of just called out sets. Like, there's a lot of flow.
Yeah.
They're getting out and running like crazy. And that's without even having talked about Tyrese Haliburton yet, who has
I was gonna say, like, that's the thing. Like, that's why they can run like flow offense, is because this is what Tyrese is great at.
Yeah. And what's been cool is that Tyrese is actually making legitimate strides. Like, he's doing the thing that I think much of what the Pacers rebuild is banked on. Like, Tyrese Haliburton becoming the quote unquote lead guard that I think they've really hoped for. Again, it's still going to take time to get there. I do want to keep pointing out to people, it is so important to recognize that you got to be careful with some of these numbers with the Pacers, because like, this team is playing crazy pace. They are not playing defense whatsoever. This is not conducive to winning basketball currently, in terms of like at the higher stages. But in terms of Tyrese becoming like a better half-court scorer, I think that's been very real. We're still trying to see him get deeper pickup points and stuff like that, but he's getting to the line more, as a career high free throw rate, and I think that's been legitimate. He's taking more threes. He's doing it with more variety in terms of how he's getting his pull-ups off. Again, really funky shooter, but like, he's doing more stuff, dribbling to his left, which has not always been a thing for him in terms of dribbling left in his pull-up. Like, he's going both ways with his pull-up. He's comfortable. Yeah. Like, he had a really good clip against Detroit earlier this year where he dragged Isaiah Stewart back and forth, left, right, east, west for 7 or 8 seconds. Those aren't the kind of shots that we're used to seeing from him. Like, he's trying to drag himself in the deeper waters and find things. And it's been really impressive, man. Like, the defense has been an absolute dumpster fire from him, to be fair. Like, his on ball has been absolutely atrocious this year. And that's, to be fair,
that's the thing. Like, he's never really been a good on ball defender.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Never
off the ball, and is like super good rotationally, but like, it's always been a problem on the ball.
Yeah. And it's been the entire team. Like, Aaron Nesmith has been their best defender on the perimeter this year. And that's, to be fair, like, he's been like an average perimeter defender, but exactly, like, it's been asking a lot. So yeah, but I mean, overall, again, just the strides he's making are legit. Like, he's almost like 50, 46, 92 right now, I think. Which is like,
it's silly.
That's video game numbers, man. So yeah, I feel good about the strides that they're making. Like, I feel legitimately very good about it. I think Isaiah Jackson has had good flashes. I think the flashes are becoming a little bit more consistent. We've seen some of the playmaking stuff has come out with him a little bit. We've seen some more like him just making good reads on the fly. I think learning to play in space, again, like, that's going to continue to be a thing, trying to see what that looks like. His perimeter defenders do not help him, but trying to figure that out has been something else. I think, and I don't want to say that it's been a disappointment for me, because that seems too harsh. I personally didn't expect anything differently, but Jalen Smith has been probably about what I've expected this year. He hasn't shot the ball super well from deep, but he's like, he finds some ways to be assertive. He's really good on the glass. I still think he's kind of lost in a lot of ways defensively.
He's just very stiff. He still is very stiff, which is the problem. This team is real to me in terms of
the process. Yeah.
In terms of the process, and in terms of, if you don't bring the energy, like, if you're coming off of a back-to-back going into Indiana, they will catch you. Like, no questions asked. They have a good chance to win that game. Are they real in terms of being a 500 team? No. They're going to be like a 27 win team or something like that, probably. Like, if they go 22-35 the rest of the year, that's probably a pretty, or 22 and no, it wouldn't be 22-35. It'd be like 22-45 or something like that. That's probably a likely outcome at this point, especially once we get into the end of the year and the Wemby sweepstakes like really heat up. But what we've seen so far, and eventually I have a feeling they're probably going to move Buddy, because this is a great opportunity to move Buddy, because he's been absolutely on fire. And this is a great opportunity to move Miles Turner if you're not going to build around him. So yeah, why not? Like, here's the other thing too. Like, can't they renegotiate and extend Turner if they want to? Like, they have a ton of cap space.
Yeah.
They have like he was on a 4-year deal. Like theoretically, they could give him a bunch of money and they could get him to stay, right?
Yeah, and he just played the best game of his career yesterday, just about.
Yeah.
Like he's been like, other than the Brooklyn game was absolutely terrible. I just want to expunge that from my memory, but he was really good against Washington.
Post-Woj interview game.
Yes, that Jesus Christ. He was really good against Washington, was very good against Miami in a surprising win, and was really good extremely good against the Pelicans. I still think that they just need to move on from him, to be frank. Mainly just because I think after taking the time to, well, not even time, but like making the trade to invest in Isaiah Jackson, okay, we'll invest in Isaiah Jackson. I don't really see the point in, especially in a year where, not that, again, there's a difference between like full on tanking and still being a team like this that's competitive while not being talented enough to really be competitive. I just want to see them really try and figure things out with Isaiah Jackson. Not that Miles is a significant barrier to him playing, but last night was the first night in the entire time that the two of them have been on the roster that we've seen them like actually share the court together for a stint. Which like that's the kind of thing that makes me like, I don't know, it just gives pause a little bit, especially just considering what the center situation can be in Indiana sometimes. So it is just rather comedic, but yeah.